Pleasant Grove Police.
I just found something in my garage. It's been wrapped up in a plastic bag that stinks.
Okay, what is it?
It's a little baby.
That call was made on April 12th, 2014. What police found when they arrived would take 3 hours to fully uncover and would turn out to be one of the most disturbing discoveries in American criminal history. Pleasant Grove is a small city in Utah County, about 30 miles south of Salt Lake City. It sits at the foot of the Wasatch Mountains, tidy and quiet, the kind of community where people raise families and watch each other's children grow up. Crime here is rare. Violent crime is almost unheard of. On the morning of April 12th, a man named Darren West had just been released from prison after serving 8 years on drug charges. He went to his old home on a residential street to collect some of his belongings. What he found in the garage brought him to his knees.
Pleasant Grove Police.
Oh, yes, ma'am. Can I have an officer come to this address?
And your name?
My name's Darren West. I just found something in my garage. I think it's a miscarriage.
Can you be more specific? What do you mean by a miscarriage you found?
I have no idea. Just please send an officer up here.
It sounds like you may need medical.
It's been wrapped up in a plastic bag that stinks.
Okay, what is it?
It's a little baby.
Officers from the Pleasant Grove Police Department arrived to find the garage door wide open and Darren West standing outside, visibly shaken. His family had come to help him move back in. One look at him and the officers knew they were walking into something serious.
Who lives here?
That's 3.
1, 2, 3.
It's a double house. The basement and the upstairs are 2 different.
My 2 daughters live here. See, we've been cleaning the garage.
Okay.
And then, got a 48-hour pass. And I have...
Here. We went on home and find down in a halfway house. And been cleaning out the garage.
I'm trying to get, because I've been gone for so long. And
Anyway, there was a box over there. It was all wrapped up. And he says, what is this?
The box in question was an ordinary fruit box sitting just outside the garage. Its exterior was sealed with electrical tape. Inside, investigators found a bag wrapped in layer upon layer of duct tape, as if someone had desperately wanted to keep whatever was inside from ever being found.
There were boxes from floor to ceiling on all 3 walls. There's hundreds of boxes. How are we going to get through all of these? So we contacted the medical examiner's office and they sent out an investigator. Bewilderment, shock. I was speechless. How could you fathom something like that?
The garage was stacked from floor to ceiling on 3 walls. Hundreds of boxes. Officers quickly sealed off the scene and called the medical examiner. They had no idea what they were truly dealing with yet, but they had questions, starting with, where was the woman who lived here?
Let's start off with, is it your wife or your girlfriend?
I'm still married to her, but...
Okay, so legally, according to law, it's still your wife.
Yes, sir.
Okay, why don't you tell me what her name is?
Megan Huntsman. What happened is when I went to prison, she stuck around for 2 or 3 years and she took off.
But she is with a boyfriend now.
Where is she?
In West Valley somewhere.
Megan Huntsman was 39 years old. She and Darren West had lived in that house on Germania, the house with the garage, for over 10 years. They had 3 daughters together. To the outside world, they were an ordinary family in an ordinary neighborhood.
They were great. You know, everybody was friendly, nice, and especially the girls, and Darren. Megan's quiet. And I think of all the women that would love to have babies and can't. That's what's really hard.
Megan was described by neighbors as quiet. Darren was outgoing. Their girls were well-liked. The family had struggled. Both Megan and Darren had serious drug problems, particularly with methamphetamine, and Darren had eventually been imprisoned for 8 years on drug charges. Megan had kept the family home in the meantime. Nobody on that street had any reason to look twice at the garage.
Just to think that all this went on when none of us had a clue that anything could even be like this. That's what's scary to me.
Back at the house, officers had already called Megan on the phone. She had told Darren, and then told police, that the baby was a miscarriage, that it had happened years ago. that it wasn't what it looked like.
And I just said, what the hell is this? What have you done? I always found something. She goes, oh, you did?
Are you able to help us understand what's going on here? It was a miscarriage.
It was like 9 years ago when we first left.
And how far into your pregnancy were you?
Like 7 months. It was born, still born.
How soon can you come down here? Our detectives need to ask you some follow-up questions so that we can, rule out any kind of foul play.
Okay, that was no foul play.
Okay, listen to me. I need you to stay at your residence. We're going to have a West Valley City officer come pick you up.
A West Valley officer was dispatched to collect Megan. Officers in Pleasant Grove, meanwhile, began the painstaking process of searching every box in that garage. They had no idea they were about to spend the next several hours making discoveries that would haunt them for the rest of their careers. When Megan Huntsman arrived for questioning, Detective Dan Beckstrom sat across from her. His first goal was simple: understand why she had hidden the baby instead of reporting it or seeking help. What he got instead was the beginning of a story that kept getting worse with every answer she gave.
Well, you know why we're here, what we're here to talk about. Just start at the beginning and tell me what happened.
Well, we were doing drugs a lot. That's what he was in prison for. I got pregnant right before he left, and I really didn't know because I thought it was just stress and stuff. Well, I was having a lot of pain that day. I didn't go to work. My kids were at school, and I went in the bathroom, just sat there and just pushed really hard and came out with blue and wasn't crying. And I was by myself and I didn't know what to do. And
She said the baby was blue, wasn't breathing. She was alone. She panicked.
Then what happened?
I got scared and I wrapped it up. Not being smart and calling you guys, I was in shock. It was stupid of me to do it.
What do you mean when you say you wrapped it up?
You remember? It was towels or garment bed or something. I put it in a box.
She wrapped the baby, put it in a box, hid the box in the garage, and every time they cleaned the garage over the following years, she moved the box just enough that no one would notice. The detective kept asking questions, and the more she talked, the more the story began to fall apart.
Proper closure looks like. Anything else?
Me going to jail.
Well, it's clear that you think you should go to jail for this, that you recognize you've done something wrong.
She thought she should go to jail. If the baby had truly been a stillborn, if no crime had been committed, there would have been no reason for her to carry that kind of guilt. The detective felt it too. Something else was buried under this story. Something she hadn't said yet. He didn't have to wait long. While Megan sat in the interview room, over 20 officers were methodically working their way through the garage. Every box, every cabinet, every shelf. They had been told it was one baby. They were about to find out it was not one baby.
I remember there being some sort of form of tape over it, and then as we opened it up, there's heavy padding and packaging, more plastic wrap. As we got deeper into that box, we did ultimately find a second child. I felt angry, and I remember thinking, what in the actual hell is going on?
Detective Beckstrom was immediately notified. He walked back into the interview room.
We have investigators in the house right now. They found a second baby. Will you please tell me about that?
There's more. Hey, I'm sorry. I have hit every one of them, and he had to have known I was pregnant through most of them.
There's others? How many?
I'm not even sure. I was on so many drugs and stuff during it all, I can't even remember.
She said she had hit every one of them, and then she said there were more.
They were all stillborn. Every one of them.
Were they full term?
No, I don't think.
Okay, so how many do you think will we find in the garage?
More.
Did you put all 4 in the garage?
Yeah.
The officers in the garage kept going.
This was probably one of the longest days in my career. It was emotionally straining, physically exhausting, and the feeling in the air was dread, but also determination to find out what in the hell actually had happened.
I'm told that there is a 5th baby found at the home. Now it's becoming almost exhausting. How many could there be? And what is going on?
Back in the interview room, Detective Beckstrom had been circling the most important question for hours. Megan kept using the word stillborn. She kept saying the babies weren't breathing. She kept describing moments of panic and shock. But he needed to know the truth. Were these babies alive when they were born?
I want to make sure that there's no more weight on your shoulders. Okay. When you have these babies.
Yes.
You said after they were born and they were blue and you would try to get them to breathe. What would you do to try to get them to breathe?
Sometimes I was so scared,
You described you had the one in the tub, that you filled the tub and had.
Yeah, I can't. Yeah.
Was that baby alive when it was born?
I think it was. For a short time.
What happened?
Well, you think if I have baby in the house, I just cry, so
Mm-hmm. Well, you say you think it was for a short time. What was it moving? Did it start to breathe?
No, it wasn't breathe. I could see a little heartbeat and then it stopped.
A heartbeat, and then it stopped. That is not a stillbirth.
Okay. The one that you had when he was in prison, that you were on the toilet. Was that one alive when it was born? Okay. Where were the other 2 born?
One on the bed.
Okay. The one on the bed when it was born. Do you think it might have been alive for a short time as well?
It might have.
That is a baby that was born alive. And then Detective Beckstrom asked the question the entire investigation had been building toward.
Did you kill the baby after it was born? What we need is the truth.
Is it one of those?
Which one?
No, I was just so scared. I'm drugged so bad.
How did you choke it?
Yeah.
Do you think all 4 of these babies were alive when they were born?
I'm pretty sure one of them wasn't.
And did you choke the others?
Yes, I did.
And you put them in a towel, put them in garbage bags, and then put them in a box and put it in the garage. So one was dead when it was born, and the other 3 you choke. And why did you choke them?
I don't know. Scared, I was in shock.
Have you ever told anyone this?
No, I've never told a soul.
She had killed them. Not one, not an accident, not a stillbirth. She had held her newborn babies, each one, for a short time after they were born, and then she killed them.
She said that she had the baby, she would hold it for a short time. She said that none of the babies were alive more than a minute or 2. And then she said that she used her thumbs, and she just described what she would just show me like this.
Her thumbs. She used her thumbs.
Once I'm out of her sight, my hands went to my knees, and I had to take several breaths to really process. Holy, she had killed these babies.
Megan had admitted to 4, but the officers in the garage were still searching.
I'm really happy with how far you've come, but I'm concerned that you haven't told me everything. How many do you think there possibly could be?
Honestly, I don't know how many. 4 I can think of, but I don't.
Okay. They are up to 5. And so now that there's 5, are you still only certain that one of them was dead when it was born? And so the other 4 were alive?
There could be more. Like I said, I can't remember a damn thing.
How many do you think there would be?
I'd say 8 or 9.
8 or 9. She didn't know the exact number. She had been on so many drugs for so many years that she had lost count of how many babies she had killed.
And you're saying Darren never knew knew.
No, what I told you, only me. I've kept this to myself for 18 years.
So I'm the only person that you've ever told.
Yes.
18 years. From the mid-1990s through 2006, Megan Huntsman had given birth to 7 babies in that house, most of them alone in the bathroom or the bedroom, and killed 6 of them. Then she boxed them up, sealed the boxes with tape, and stacked them in the garage alongside her holiday decorations and old furniture. She had been living with this secret for nearly 2 decades.
Officers made another grim discovery. The 6th and 7th bodies wrapped in sweaters and stuffed into a box inside a cabinet. It was a moment that left everyone reeling.
Police say the Utah woman accused of killing 6 babies and hiding them along with a stillborn couldn't tell detectives exactly how many infants she had in her home. KSTU reports Megan Huntsman told detectives there were 8 or 9 babies in her home, but police said they found 7. Police said 6 of those infants died after Huntsman allegedly strangled them.
7 bodies in total. 6 murders, 1 stillborn. All born between 1996 and 2006. All packaged in plastic bags inside cardboard boxes. All hidden in plain sight in a garage that had been cleaned around them every year. The final count was 1 fewer than Megan had predicted. She had said 8 or 9. The true number, 6 murders, was bad enough. With Megan's confession secured, investigators turned their attention to Darren West. He was the father of these children. He had lived in that house for over 10 years. He had cleaned that garage. He had been in that home, in that bed, with Megan, through pregnancy after hidden pregnancy. Could he really have known nothing?
You're not in trouble right now. I'm just trying to understand everything that's happened. I have 3 daughters.
And I know one other time that she had a miscarriage. I never even knew she was pregnant with 2 of my daughters until she was like 4 or 5 months along.
The detective told him the truth.
How many was there?
There were 7.
You were kidding me.
I'm not. She said that the first one was shortly after you moved into the house.
Oh my God.
And that the last one, she was pregnant by you before you went to prison.
Wait, so she says they're all mine?
Darren was visibly shaken by the disturbing revelations. He buried his face in his hands and began to sob as the weight of the situation hit him hard.
I was so messed up on freaking drugs and I don't know what was going on.
I can tell that you know about more than what you're telling me.
I swear to God, I never knew about all these pregnancies.
The detective believed Darren knew about some of the pregnancies. It was nearly impossible to believe a man could sleep beside a woman through 7 pregnancies and notice nothing. But knowing about a pregnancy and knowing she was killing the babies were 2 very different things.
But I don't think that you killed these babies and hid them. I think that you were married to a woman who was going to do it her way, and then you were done fighting with her, and so you allowed her to make these decisions. Is that what happened?
I never would think that she would put babies in a box. Honest to God, I didn't know that there were 7 babies in my garage.
I know.
I never knew there was 1 in there. Do you think I would have go out and clean the garage and then, you know what I mean?
I understand where you're coming from. I'm not saying you knew they were in the garage, but I'm saying you had to know that they were brought into the world.
This is looking bad. I had no idea that she was killing kids and putting them in boxes. I swear to God. But I want to return them.
Darren requested an attorney and the interrogation ended. Investigators had to decide whether he was a suspect or a victim. The evidence answered that question clearly.
Every single fingerprint belonged to Megan. Not a trace of Darren's prints was found on any of the items. With this, the focus shifted to the medical examiner, where DNA testing was conducted to confirm the father of the babies. The results were as expected. Darren was the biological father of all 7 children.
Every print, every box, every layer of tape, all Megan. And there was one more simple but powerful piece of logic working in Darren's favor. If he had known about the bodies in the garage, if he had been aware of even one of them, he would never have walked into that garage on his first morning back home and started cleaning it out. He had discovered it himself. He had called 911 himself. He had sat outside shaking when police arrived. Darren West was cleared. He was not a suspect. He was a man who had spent 8 years in prison and come home to find out he had been the father of 7 children he never knew existed.
Huntsman was arrested Sunday on 6 counts of murder. She's being held on $6 million bond, $1 million for each child she's accused of killing.
Megan Huntsman was booked into Utah County Jail on 6 counts of murder. Her bail was set at $6 million, $1 million for each child she had killed. Meanwhile, investigators searched her West Valley home, the apartment where she had been living with her boyfriend. They found no additional bodies. What they did find was Xanax, marijuana, and drug paraphernalia, a snapshot of the life she had been living while her children's bodies sat in boxes back in Pleasant Grove.
No outward expression of emotions.
Earlier in the week, Huntsman was formally charged with 6 counts of murder. Investigators have gotten DNA from all the babies, as well as Huntsman and West, to determine who the parents are. Huntsman is currently being held on a $6 million bail. Her next scheduled court appearance is May 19th.
On February 12, 2015, nearly 10 months after the discovery in that garage, Megan Huntsman appeared in court.
Count 3, murder, a first-degree felony. What is your plea? Count 4, murder, a first-degree felony. What is your plea? Count 5, murder, a first-degree felony. What is your plea?
6 times she entered the same word, guilty. At sentencing the following April, the court heard from the people who had known her and from the detective who had sat across from her in that interview room.
She was just about to leave. She ran out the door and then stopped and came back. She gave me a hug and said, I love you. Hours later, she was arrested. The news that was happening find the word blindsided for me. No one would have ever guessed this shy, timid girl was capable of this. The person I know is not the same girl that the media has portrayed her to be.
Those who knew Megan painted a remarkably consistent picture. They described her as shy, quiet, and reserved, the kind of neighbor who exchanged polite waves, tended her garden, went to work, and largely kept to herself. To them, she was simply a mother, raising 3 daughters and living an ordinary life. The woman who had killed 6 babies in that same house and hidden them in the garage.
Therefore, I do think that it's appropriate that 3 of the charges run consecutively in this matter, and they can run concurrent with the other charges.
Judge Daryl McDade handed down the maximum sentence, 6 terms of 5 years to life, to be served consecutively, meaning Megan Huntsman would serve each sentence one after another. She would not be eligible for parole until she had served years for each child she had killed. In practical terms, she would spend the rest of her life in prison.
Megan had a family that she was raising. But on the flip side of that coin, she also had 7 dead children in her garage that she had murdered. I don't know what her motive was. I don't care what her motive was. But the fact of the matter is she did it, and that was unfathomable to me.
The house on Germania Street in Pleasant Grove was quiet again. The garage was empty. The boxes were gone. The evidence was processed, cataloged, and stored. But the questions that the case left behind are not so easily put away. How do you hide 7 pregnancies from a husband, from neighbors, from 3 living daughters who shared the same house? The answer, according to everyone who knew Megan, is that she barely showed when she was pregnant. She was a small woman. She wore loose clothing. She worked. She functioned. Nobody looked closely enough. Or nobody wanted to. Megan Huntsman has never publicly explained her motive. She told Detective Beckstrom it was the drugs, that methamphetamine had destroyed her ability to make rational decisions, that she was overwhelmed, that she panicked each time. Her defense attorneys pointed to her addiction as a mitigating factor, but Detective Beckstrom used a different phrase at the sentencing hearing: coldly calculated killings. She held each baby. She waited until she was sure, and then she used her thumbs. Those are not the actions of a woman in a panicked fog. Those are the actions of a woman who made a decision 6 times, and then lived with it for nearly 2 decades. Darren West was released. He had come home from prison to find the worst possible version of a life he thought he had left behind. He had 3 living daughters. He had a family to rebuild. The 7 children he never knew existed were given proper burials. The closure, as Detective Beckstrom had put it, that they had been owed for nearly 2 decades. Megan Huntsman remains incarcerated. She will, in all likelihood, die there.